Live from the City of Angels, it's Sunday morning breaking box office. We called this back on Thursday night with the box office preview show. We told you that Venom 3 was going to be lower, much lower than the past two installments, particularly number 2, which opened to $90 million 3 years ago, 2021. Now, one thing to mention before I get into these numbers, first of all, we called it, we knew it, because it's just people are done, right, with things that we keep going back to the woodshed and continually recycle this shit over and over. And once you really tell the audience that this is what you're going to give them, the audience like, I'm done, I'm out. Now, there's a bunch of reasons why this film went under number 2. Certainly one, both those films did much better than this film. But I think the key here is Hollywood's got to learn a lesson here from this weekend, in that we need to start making more original stories. We need to make movies that are not the third, the fourth, another sequel of this or that. People are tired of this shit. I know I am. This film was brutal to sit through. This is a little commentary. Sorry, guys, I have to. I mean, it's got to happen, right? But when you look at the numbers here for Venom: The Last Dance, take a look at, we have directly from Sony the email, $51 million on the debut. Now, this is minus 43% versus the second installment, again, back in 2021, when I will admit to you that people were excited to get back into theaters, right? Right after Shang-Chi, this film dropped. People were like, oh, I'm allowed to go back to a movie theater. We were told we were allowed to leave our homes and we weren't going to kill everybody when you went to the movies, right? Remember all the fear mongers pushing all that shit for over a year. Okay. Yeah, we're not going to do that again this year, are we? Well, I mean, why not? Whenever there's an opportunity to hammer that shit, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to sit back and be like, well, that was okay. Let's just do that again next time. Fuck that shit. We're not doing that shit again. It's never happening. Okay. And I didn't do it either. I mean, I was going to movies throughout. You guys know I drove all the way over to Vegas to see Tenet, and Tenet was only shown in Vegas because, remember, our governor here said it's too dangerous. You need to all stay home. You can't open any movie theaters. So, okay, you guys know, just laugh that some of you fell for that shit. Just laugh, have fun, because you did, and you're not going to do it again. So that's the lesson. You're not going to have that happen again. So that's the good news. Venom at 51 million is down tremendously. And again, back 3 years ago, people were excited to get back into theaters. Now we're seeing a pattern that's very alarming. Okay. This is not just Venom. It's every single film. And we're going to talk about everything else here, including Conclave and We Live in Time. These films are not firing anymore. People are getting tired of movie going. I see it. You can 100% see it. Now, there's aberrations, obviously. When you go back to Deadpool Wolverine, you look at some of the films that have done very well. Then you look at a Joker 2 that's completely bombed out. We'll look at that number, the final number, pretty much here this morning. Welcome here live from the City of Angels. If you're joining us on X, thanks for being here. If you're on YouTube, remember the channel is Midnight Movie Talk. If you want to go subscribe there, hell, why not? But here's the thing, is that when you look at the state of movie going, we are down last weekend 11%. This weekend I got to check the number. It's going to be again down again, because this film is so far under. But you could see it coming. Okay, it's not just the fact that people are kind of like checking out of movies. There's a lot going on. I'm not going to give you, some excuse that there's nothing happening and therefore this is not one of the reasons why people are not going, is because there's the World Series, right? Think about this. That's fair. New York, LA, totally invested. You got Dodgers, Yankees. Talk about a marquee World Series matchup. This is not Tampa versus Detroit. Can those teams even face each other? I'm so checked out of baseball. I'm just on, college football, NFL, I'm there, but I don't even, can Tampa and Detroit even meet in the World Series? Or they switch, leagues so often. I have no, but you know what I'm saying? Like, in that small market shit. It's Arizona versus Milwaukee. Again, I think that's not a World Series matchup, but you get my point. This is Dodgers and this is Yankees, and these games are great. Friday night's game, wow, what a finish. Freeman, I mean, you can't script that better. And then last night, again, Saturday night. So that's hurting. No question that hurt this result. Also, Halloween falls on Thursday. So, as such, you're looking at people that were celebrating Saturday night were a lot of parties. I was out last night. I went to go see Conclave. We'll talk about that tonight. We'll talk about the numbers on Conclave in a minute. But there's people out doing their costume thing, right? Big parties on Saturday because, of course, it's the weekend before Halloween. A lot of people have to work on Thursday, so they don't go to parties on Thursday night. I mean, maybe go to a bar or something. Good luck to anything opening next weekend. I think it's Here and something else. That film's dead. Here is going down hard. And this is what we're talking about. I'll get into it more tonight on the Sunday night show, but a film like Here, We Live in Time, you're going to be told by like a Scott Mendelson. Scott Mendelson, listen, I like Scott, but my man is completely clueless when it comes to spinning shit. In fact, well, what he does is spin shit. He's like, We Live in Time did great in the expansion. I'm sorry, $1,600 per screen is great. That's a mainstream hit. Is that what we're doing now? We're now going to say these films that are not doing well are doing well because this is the lens we're under now because movie going's down? No, we're not doing that. 1,600 per, not strong. But if you listen to Mendelson in his Substack, oh, it's doing great. There's sometimes I don't even think he knows what he's talking about. I really don't. I look at Scott and Scott, listen, I will still have a drink with you. I'm not going to savage you. I don't think you're a bad guy. But you can't do that. You're a reporter that people listen to. Don't do this shit. Don't spin things and lie. This is a lie. Okay, we lived through the lies. Let's go back to the beginning of the stream. We lived through that shit. Let's not do it in our box office results. Let's try to stay grounded, accurate, objective, all these things that we do every single time we come on the mic. Okay, back to the numbers. That was wow. We're doing like a Sunday night show here on Sunday morning now. It's okay. We're allowed. Before it was just like hits, runs, and errors. Now I'm just like full of commentary the entire time. 51 million. The good news, though, here for Sony is it did much better overseas. Okay, overseas 124 alone, 124 million on the overseas number, and China was big here. China came in with 46 million over the 5 days. It's the biggest superhero movie opening since Far From Home in China, and the biggest Hollywood opening of the year in China, any film. Other top 10 markets: Mexico 7.3, South Korea 5.8, UK 5.7, India 4.7, Germany 4.1, on and on. So the other thing that's not doing great for this film is it's got a B- cinema score, and that indicates word of mouth not good. Okay, here's the thing: it's terrible. This film was brutal to sit through. It's not good, not fun. Okay, anyone who was it? Our boy Soups. Oh, it's the most fun of the entire three, the trilogy. It's the best one. And these people are not to be taken seriously. Okay, Weber gets dragged right and left by the film Twitter dweebs. But I'm right every single time. And we destroy your hero, Sean Fennessy, the biggest fraud in the space. He should just call himself Sean Fraud Fennessy because he is. Watch him. He's terrible live. I'll destroy him any day of the week. Put me in a ring with Fennessy live and he'll just be gutted. It'll just be like, what happened? It'll be Art the Clown destroying a victim. Smile 2, bad news here for this film, down 59%. And this speaks again to what I just talked about. When you look at the marketplace, these films are doing an opening weekend and they're falling almost unilaterally. Doesn't matter the film. And down 59%, again, speaks to people saying, well, it'll hold well. 59% is not great for a hold. You want to hold in the 40s if you want to talk about a good hold. 30s would be hell better. But 59, you're on the wrong side of 50. And this is a film that really disappointing film, right? It's not as disappointing as a Maxine this year as far as the actual quality of the film and what it gives you. But Smile 2 is not as good as Smile 1. That said, the alarming part of this is, again, the big drop. And we can speak to what we talked about before with Venom, with the Halloween, people celebrating, and all the stuff going on, World Series, and, Carmageddon here in LA. Don't go anywhere. But at the end of the day, we still are looking at a film that should be holding better, and it's not. It points to exactly what I've been talking about here this morning. When you look at the state of movie going, we're not in the great space. And it gets back to this. Adam Aaron gets paid over $20 million a year. $20 fucking million. Do you understand that it's very hard to comprehend a man getting paid $20+ million a year to be the head of a corporation in AMC and to not do your job? To literally think it's okay to let these studios put these things on digital weeks after the debut. Look what they're doing with Joker 2. Warner Brothers like, here it is. You know how you stop that? You demand windows. I'm not. How many times have I had this conversation? I'm here. I could do a better job as AMC CEO tomorrow than your boy getting paid $20 million. But I just have to sit here and rail into a microphone on a Sunday morning and then later tonight again. Because you allow someone like that, you cheer him. All the AMC stock shills. Oh, he's so wonderful. If he's wonderful, he's going to get windows. Should have had months ago. We told him to do that 6 months ago, and it's still going on. Let's go to Conclave because this was a debut of 6.5 million. I got my top 10 up. I'll go through over some of these films I've not talked about thus far, including We Live in Time, also Anora, Expand, all that in seconds. We'll start with Conclave, 6.5 million. Solid. Okay, I'm not going to tell you this was as bad as a Saturday night when it rolled out. Saturday night had about 1,800 per screen when it rolled out. That's bad. This film came in at 3,700 per screen. Again, not crazy. Okay, remember, when we're talking about a per screen average, you're looking at, hopefully for a number one film, you want 20,000 per. Venom was at 12,000. Okay, Conclave at 3,700. So Conclave did, I think folks are going to be happy with this. I think there's a couple things to take away from Conclave doing a solid number here. They didn't platform this, right? You guys know platforming is New York, LA, and then typically second weekend they add Chicago, San Fran, few places, and then they bring it to you everywhere, typically in week 3. Sometimes it takes longer, like Sing Sing. Remember, A24 completely botched that. A24 worst year of their existence, without question. And you just look at so many mistakes they've made this year. Sing Sing, by far, it's overrated. I mean, one of the most overrated films of the year, along with Anora. These are two. I mean, Anora is. I've got to play a Zach Pope video tonight where he calls Anora a masterpiece. Do you understand that I have to exist in a universe with Clown World like that and Soups? It's unreal to me that anyone listens to this shit from these people. Even if you like Anora, it's not a fucking masterpiece. What are you doing, man? What's wrong with you? I don't think these people function properly. There's something off. Like they're just missing a few things. I don't know. You guys can help me with what that is. They're just not very bright, too. I think that's the other thing. When you're dealing with someone who's got a pretty low IQ, they're probably going to think it's a masterpiece. Sorry, I just have to do what I have to do because it's one of the most annoying movies I've ever sat through in my life, but I'm told it's the best picture front runner. Good luck. We're fucked. And as a society / Hollywood / Oscars, if that's your number one film of the year. But the way things have been going with Coda and everything everywhere, it would make sense for Anora to win. That would just be perfect. We just keep sinking further and further into the abyss. But Conclave is pretty solid considering it is, think about it. It's a papal mystery / thriller. And that's asking a lot of most audiences to sit through. I found it to be, listen, there's a lot of things I want to talk about here tonight. I think the number one takeaway from Conclave we'll talk about tonight when we talk about the evaluation is it's very woke. And listen, you guys know I'm not an anti-woke guy, but it definitely is preaching. It's 100% pushing an agenda. And that's why I think it's interesting tonight when I go through this, again, being objective, I'm going to call that out. I'm going to talk about that, but I'm also going to say it didn't bug me as much as a lot of you maybe, because I'm now at the point where a lot of the stuff just washes over me and I just say, I'm going to watch the film, just get where I am on the evaluation, and then discuss whether the elements were too agenda pushing or whether they were, authentic in their creation. I think that's the point that when we talk about woke, we're really talking about, for me, it's very simple. Is this an agenda push or is it an authentic, built in? It's not a forced inclusion of ideas. It's organically created situation. That's what that is. Okay. And by the way, nobody's better. Nobody's better than us. Ain't nobody better. We ain't one of them ones. Remember that from last week. And number 5, 4 was Wild Robot, but 111 million. We'll skip that. Number 5 was We Live in Time. Essentially, we had a tie at Conclave and Wild Robot, so it's 4. But I just put it in here, Wild Robot 4, and We Live in Time is 5. Here's the thing, and I'm going back to Mendelsohn. He says We Live in Time is a mainstream hit. Really? When it expands to now 1,983 screens. Great year, 1983, by the way. You look at it plus 15%. That's not good. When you go up that many screens, you better go up a lot more than plus 15%. Do you see how we're better than these other people? Grace Randolph reading a teleprompter with her movie math. Good God. She doesn't do what we do. We might have 1/100th the views. Doesn't matter. We destroy her. We are the box office goats here. There's no competition. $1,633 per screen. That's terrible. Guys, do you understand that that's not a good number? But if you listen to someone like Scott Mendelson with his Substack, he's going to tell you that's a mainstream hit. So now we're going to filter things. We're going to put everything through the lens of things are down. Therefore, 1,600 is good. No, we're not doing that. We're not going to do that. Okay. I will cede you this, that Anora expanded with 25,000 per, which is a really solid PTA, right? Now we're talking, remember we said the number one film doing 20,000 solid. So if Anora is doing 25,000 per, it's clearly captured the film Twitter zeitgeist, right? But it's also pushing through not just that group, but other people. It's one of those films that, even though I really do not like this film, it's still like Poor Things, right? Like Everything Everywhere. These films are able to break out of the film Twitter bubble and become a bigger kind of sensation with a mainstream audience. I don't know how much further this film can go as far as, we're still talking about a film in Anora that's only at 1,600,000, 1.6. That's not right. So remember, we're still filtering all these things through the lens of what is actually truth. And truth is 1.6 million is not good. Right? I mean, it's not big. We just talked about Venom doing 51 million. So remember, when we talk about Anora being a success, you're talking about 1/50th what Venom did, and we just hammered that. So that's the key, right? That's why we don't do this. We don't filter things. Rest of the top 10, let's do it quickly. We've got Terrifier at 5/6, and it is at $43 million, $2 million budget, 43 million, down 54% this weekend. Beetlejuice still hanging in there, 288 million on that. And Nora's number 7, as I mentioned, with 25,000 per location. It's great, stellar number. But again, 1.6 million. So let's keep everything in perspective. Piece by piece, 8.8 million. That's about 8 million more than I thought the film would make. So that's impressive for Focus. And then Transformers 1 at 57, called $58 million. Couple of comments. We're out of here on this Sunday night. But I'm telling you guys, here's the deal, is that it is, David. It's I love I've got David coming in here reminding me that it's not X, it's X-rated. Don't tell me it's unrated. It's X-rated. Okay. Don't play the bullshit. You would have been, who David is? David's the guy during COVID that was spinning the numbers. The numbers are up 50%. There's 2 more cases. It's up 50%. 2 cases. It's 50%. Do you see what I'm doing? That's what they do. That's what people like David do. They don't say the truth. The truth is X-rated film. It's not non-rated. Yeah, it's non-rated technically. It's X-rated. They just didn't call it X-rated because they wanted to show it at AMC and Regal. Don't mess with me, David. I know what I'm doing. Don't be dumb. Don't try to spin shit and obfuscate and all that garbage. Don't do that. Don't do that. I don't know who watches the Venom movies. It's terrible. Don't watch it, Tom. Tonight, we'll talk more about this film's disappointing outcome, along with Conclave. The full result of my evaluation comes out tonight. I mentioned a little bit of what I talked about tonight. I think it'll be a fun one because, again, we're going to talk about the woke agenda. And again, remember, I'm not the anti-woke guy. So I think this is you're going to get the fairest, most accurate evaluation review of Conclave tonight when you tune in about 8 o'clock here from LA. No World Series tonight, so no excuse not to be back here. Until then, peace. Live from the City of Angels. The stream is over. I'll see you tonight. MMT out.